This vegan thinks that training dogs to be guide dogs isn't unethical as long as they are not harmed. Case in point.
Yeah, okay. So if we take away the risk element to it and say we use guide dogs, would that be anti-vegan? Guide dogs.
Not
Right?
necessarily, but I do think
Right.
that the breeding of dogs is usually an issue,
Mhm.
and also the fact like what happens to the dog after it's being trained and then it's too old to do the job.
He also says this.
And just a couple more, so we're on the same page. Pets in general.
Pets can be okay, yeah,
Dogs.
as long as it's you're treating them fairly.
But what makes something to be a fair treatment? Can you even have fair treatment without consent? He obviously thinks that training dogs to be guide dogs is a fair treatment, even though it's being done for our sake. It seems that fair treatment is when animals are not harmed or killed, even if they are exploited for our sake. But then he sings a completely different song when issues are listed. We can imagine artificially inseminating a cow without it being hurt, and the cow ending up having benefits out of it. But for some reason that's wrong according to him. But the cow wouldn't be harmed, just like guide dogs and pets wouldn't be harmed. In fact, maybe the cow is inseminated because she's lonely, and we want to grant her a gift of motherhood. The peanut butter example shows he is not concerned with the sexual exploitation while objecting to the insemination.
To the production of milk requires the sexual exploitation of the cow. They need to be forcefully impregnated.
Guy groping a girl without her consent, then giving her loads of money wouldn't harm the girl. In fact, she might actually be happy afterwards. The only way that it would harm her is if we include the lack of consent. But according to him, there can be fair treatment without consent. And yet he objects that would violate her freedoms and interests without even knowing her interests. And of course we have crop and other kinds of deaths, where animals gain nothing but death and suffering while humans don't care and reap benefits. That doesn't sound fair. He tries to deflect it by appealing to his survival, but the fact is that animals die and suffer for many things which vegans consume for convenience or sensory pleasures, so there is no excuse. We can also open this possible can of worms. Let's imagine that we as a society train kids or mentally disabled kids so we could utilize them as pets or guide animals. We don't need consent as long as we don't harm them.